How and where to start, Part 2. The first thing we are going to do is simulate a purchase on credit. Let's go to Expenses, and we'll add a new transaction. Suppose we are going to start this month. In a single transaction we can enter a lot of valuable information for our business. Let's see. In Supplier we place Warner Brothers. If we want to enter the data of the supplier at once, just click on the blue Details button. I update the data, and I say save it to return to the transaction. In Name we enter the product or service that I am buying, for example Dynamite. We press Tab and Y, we get the same form that we used in the initial inventory to create and classify the product. Dynamite is something we buy and sell, so in Type we select Goods. I put 120 in sale price, 60 in purchase price, and delicate in description. I say save, and in quantity I will say that I buy 30 units at a price of 60 for a total of 1,800. It is a transaction that I have not paid, so we will not enter payment information. I simply keep it, and there is my first purchase on credit. Now let's review the impact of the purchase on the different sections of the application. If I click on the Suppliers tab we can see our first supplier corresponding to Warner Brothers. We are going to control inventory, and I can also see the amounts I brought Dynamite into my inventory. If we go to our report, we can see the transaction we just created, along with the initial balance, for a total of 2 transactions in accounts payable. Finally, if we go to the Overview and Update, we can see that increase the inventory and the counterpart is accounts payable. Now let's simulate a sale, also on credit. We go to Income, New Transaction, as of the beginning of this month, and in Client we put Coyote. Just as we did with the supplier, here too I can enter all the customer data. Now I copy what I sold. When writing Dynamite, the system detects that this item is already created. I select it, and in quantity I put 10 units. Automatically the system brings the sale price, 120, for a total of 1,200. We have not been paid. Then we keep the transaction, and there is my first purchase on credit. Now let's review the impact of the sale on the different sections of the application. If I click on the Customers tab we can see our first customer, the Coyote. We are going to control inventory, and now I get the available quantities of Dynamite, that is, 20, 30 I buy in the previous transaction, minus the 10 that we just sold. If we go to our report, we can see the transaction we just created, along with the initial balance, for a total of 2 transactions in accounts receivable. And finally, if we go to the Summary and Update, accounts receivable increased and inventory decreased. In the income and expense statement, we have the income corresponding to the sale with its respective cost of sale, which leaves us a profit, which is also reflected in the balance as equity. To finish, let's record an expense, paid in cash. Let's go to Expenses, and add a new transaction. We put the date today. In Supplier we write Real Estate. In Item we put, for example, Rent. As it is a new item, it opens the editing form and we will classify it as General Expenses. We put the price and we say Save. To register the payment, since we are paying cash, I click on the gray tab that says Payments. I select the account where I get the money for the expense, for example cash, and I say Save. We already have the first transaction of an expense. Now let's review the impact of the expense on the different sections of the application, especially in cash. If we go to Expenses, we can identify our purchase in green, indicating that it has already been paid. And if we are going to control cash we can see that our cash no longer only corresponds to the initial balance of 5,000. If we want to see the changes, click on the balance and shows the detail of the account, the opening balance minus the expense we just recorded. Finally, if we go to the Overview and Update, we can see that our cash decreased, and our income stayed affected in the expenses. Summary and success factors. In order to begin entering transactions, you must first enter the initial accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory and cash balances, including credits. As you enter transactions, you must ensure that your cash balances in the system are kept in sync with the actual balances. If you do this consistently for a few days, you will begin to see the benefits in managing and controlling your business from using the software. And if you want us to help you to enter your starting balances and/or first transactions, please contact us by chat inside the app to schedule a getting started session with the person in charge of education.